Alright, so this is what I call Kerbal Cleanup. This is version 0.24. This is the last update they released a few months ago. Added some interesting science things and the contract tree. And we have a few missions ongoing. And what I like to do before... I wipe my save file every time they issue a new update. So what I like to do is I like to wrap up any missions I have currently ongoing. So let's go to the Space Center. And I'll show you what missions I have running. Now, it's going to be a little harder this time because there is an upward limit on my budget. And I just spent most of that budget to send a mission to Duna, so it's only about 116,000 credits right now, and I've got to try and get everyone back home. The goal is to have everything that can be brought out of orbit should be brought out of orbit, preferably with anything with Kerbals in it coming back to Kerbin. Though, alright, let's erase objects. Let's just look at ships, stations, rovers, and probes. Okay, so you can see we've got 6 missions ongoing right now. We have... what is that? Oh, this is just a satellite that we can... oh, we can deorbit that one right now. That can be our first bit of cleanup. Okay, so easy thing with this one, just point it retrograde and fire the thrusters. And there we go, that satellite is taken care of. This was just a quick and easy contract that got me a bunch of money to send up a mission earlier. So this is all that's left of it. It launched a little bit of something out that way, I think. Alright, so that'll fall into the atmosphere and explode. No need to watch that one, just a little satellite. Okay, so probes, rovers, landers, ships, stations, bases, EVAs, flags, space objects. Okay. So we've got that on a suborbital trajectory. We've got a space station here, which I want to bring that down last. We also have a station at the moon. And these guys we can go ahead and try and bring home. What do we got here? Ooh, okay, so they don't have an engine to move the entire station, so we're gonna have to come get them, I think. Yeah, there should be 2 people in there. Yeah, 2 people in there and 1 in the lander, I believe. Yes, okay. So this one we'll have to come rescue. That can be our next chapter. Alright, so we have a pretty standard ship we can send up. We don't need to do anything super fancy, so let's just... I think this one... yeah, this one should make it just fine. I can ditch the science module. The extra heavy stuff I can just toss out. Don't need the landing legs, we're not going to be landing anywhere. Yep, that looks pretty good. Now the other important thing is we need to be able to fly this by remote, because I need to send it up empty to get all 3 Kerbals back home. Alright, so we'll have to be kind of weird with how we do this. Gonna leave this little doohickey on the front, and once we're up in orbit, we'll pop that off, and another Kerbal, once we're near the station, we'll pop that off and a Kerbal can get on. Yeah, that ought to do the trick. Let's remove the crew, and launch. So pretty standard launch for this one. This is mostly stock, just has some nose cones from another set since I haven't unlocked the stock ones yet. And 3, 2, 1, blast off. Whoa! Okay, that's got a lot of thrust. Wind that back just a tad so we don't burn up too much fuel just pushing on nothing. Lose a lot of waste a lot of fuel against air resistance this deep in the atmosphere, so we want to stay below our terminal velocity here. This is the same launch system I used to get my lander up just a little while ago. And that is currently attached to the Duna mission that we're going to have to bring home. Very much looking forward to 0.25. That's the next update that should be releasing... Oh god, it could be releasing anytime. Now, it looks basically done from what they've been showing off on their own Twitch channel today. Though we've said similar things before and they've gone back to the drawing board, but it looks... They seem like they're trying to indicate that it's ready. They've released the embargoes on all their YouTubers that they've given early access to, and they've been streaming the new version pretty much constantly all day. So that's usually a good sign that it's about to get released, which is pretty much when I do the cleanups. The previous cleanups can be found on my YouTube channel. They were both fairly successful. One of them was just deorbiting a station, and then 0.23's cleanup was... I don't think I did a 0.23 cleanup. I did 0.21 and 0.22, because 0.23 I had a lot of issues with many Kerbals just stranded in the middle of nowhere in deep space, and yeah, so there was no way they were coming home, so just skip the cleanup on that one. But we are back to doing it with 0.24. Check my altitude here. Looks like we're just breaking in apoaps of 30,000 kilometers, or 30,000 meters, 30 kilometers. Metric system. Probably too much RCS on this, but that's alright. It's not going to hurt anything. I'm going to make orbit with plenty of fuel. Alright, burning for the horizon now. Just need to get this thing into orbit, and then we can work on sending it to the Lunar Space Station. Ideally, that will be the main job of this stage here, will be to get us out to the moon. Though it looks like we're going to burn up most of it just getting into orbit here. Ironically, probably going to wind up leaving a bunch of extra debris I don't need. I've yet to run an entire save file without making any debris whatsoever. Maybe sometime in the future, but afraid not in this one. And it's kind of hard to do a lot of the contracts without leaving any debris up here. So I do try to avoid, they call it Kessler syndrome, which is filling up space around a planet with junk from your space missions. We are approaching our maneuver node here. Just realized these no Kerbals on board, so I don't really need to worry about how comfortable they are. Granted, I don't need to worry about how comfortable they are when they are on board, because that's not something that the game worries about yet either. But I'm weird like that. Three, two, one, burn. Alright, we have successfully made it to space today. Nice big engine still on board. That's the skipper. A little more efficient than the mainsail. Doesn't have quite the punch, though. Good for upper stages of rockets that you need that aren't terribly light. If they're really light, you can put the Poodle on them and get tons of fuel efficiency out of them, but a little too heavy for the Poodle, this one. Alright, so just need to... Oh, we can probably burn straight for the moon here. No, wait. A little too soon. Alright, let's go ahead and burn for the moon, see if we can do this. Without a maneuver node. We are aiming for a spot ahead of the moon's orbit. And that's gonna be over here. We want to come in and we want to try and just burn through that whole stage. Alright. Well, could be worse. It could definitely be worse. We want to be coming in, orbiting the moon in a easterly direction. West to east. Oh, that's an impact trajectory. Not good. There we go. That ought to do the trick, assuming nothing changes before we get there. So let's set an alarm for the sphere of influence transfer. That way we don't accidentally warp through it, and gives us time to correct things if that's going to turn into an impact again. Alright, so this ship has 5 hours to kill and is currently in the midst of an eclipse, so that's probably going to run out of power. Oh, and back up to normal. Yeah, let's let this drift out here for a bit. On its nice little collision course there, and let's show you what else we've got to take care of today. Have a few other missions that we want to wrap up, namely we have our second generation of our lander that we dropped on Duna last week. This one hanging out around Eve. Just need to bring that down in one piece, hopefully. Can do that pretty much any time. It's been in low Eve orbit for a while now. Speaking of, I do actually have some science I need to transfer from there. Then we also have the original Questor, which is currently surviving a rather harsh winter on Duna. Won't be doing anything else with him. He's already landed safe and sound. He's just going to sit there forever. It's a little sad. I might try and make him explode just so, you know, not lost there forever. I'm thinking about actually just trying to carry this one over into my next save file, but that seems cheaty. Like, bring it over but leave it labeled as debris or something, just as a, hey, that's there, sort of thing. I used to bring all my flags over from one save file to another, but that got a little bit too much to manage about 3 different versions of the game ago. Right, so we also have this mission, which is halfway to Duna already. So we're going to need to bring him in, and I have a contract to land at Ike, so might as well do that before we come home. No reason not to. It's got plenty of fuel, so that will be our 3rd mission for the day, I believe. And then, of course, we'll deorbit the station. So all of this assuming we successfully rescue our moon people. And we don't have anyone out on Minmus. That mission was brought back last time y'all watched, I think. No, I don't think I did a mid-miss mission during that. I think I did that off camera. It was just completing some contracts to get some money to launch other missions. Here we are. It's going to bring us within the moon's sphere of influence, and then we can go ahead and correct our orbit any that we need to. Alright, target is going to be the Lunar Space Station. No, not that flag. I'm going to turn those off. Lunar Station, set as target. So we're going to need to bring our orbit in. Can I really get a super close encounter just right off of this maneuver? How far is that? 6.5 kilometers. That is not bad at all. Not great, but not bad. You know, if I did it here instead... And that's probably going to be a super close encounter. 0.4 kilometers. Let's go for that. Alright. Well, that was pretty lucky. We got straight into that right off of the orbital insertion maneuver. It's going to take a heck of a burn to stop when we get there, but that should be okay. Should be well within this poodle's capabilities. Set an alarm for that and go ahead and fast forward. Alright, it should be about a 14-second burn, so we'll go ahead and bring ourselves a little bit closer there. And remember, we aren't going to be docking with the station right off the bat, because we have to pop this drone control core off first. Get a Kerbal inside, and then we can do the docking maneuver and bring everything out of orbit. Let's see how close an encounter we have so far. Just a little bit of gas, bring that encounter around. There we go. Alright, let's add that alarm here and go ahead and fast forward around to it. Not sure why the game was acting so funny with the encounter there. It's been a little strange today. I think my .25 save is probably going to be mod-free, because they're acting quite strangely lately. Or at least no mods except Kerbal Alarm Clock, because I can't play without Kerbal Alarm Clock, or I wind up killing people. That is how I lost Jebediah in my last save, as I accidentally warped right on through the planet, and he went flying off into deep space. Alright, we are going to just drop right on in on this thing from above, and slam on the rocket brakes when we get there. 200 meters per second we have to kill when we get near that thing. So it was 120 was about 14 seconds, so this one was probably going to be closer to 20 seconds. Maybe 21. start burning when I'm about 2 kilometers away. It should be a pretty good bet. Just doing the quick timing math in my head if I'm closing at the speed I think I am. And starting my burn. Perfect. Alright, we are about half a kilometer away from the station, bringing us to a stop. And then let's go ahead and get us moving towards the station itself. Get the camera in chase mode, so I don't completely lose my orientation here. Move our vector up to point towards the station. And time warp on in. No reason to waste fuel here. Though there is plenty on the station, so it's not like we're going to have to worry about our supply for the trip home. Can always steal some if we need it. I wish I had thought to put a docking node on the drone core itself, then it could just take over the station and deorbit it without any Kerbals aboard. But instead we're going to do this a little more fun. In a slightly more dangerous sort of method. Where's the lander connected? Oh, it must be on the other side. Okay. So let's bring us in this way. We're just going to grab one of the Kerbals out of the science module there. And make our little bus stop there. And there, that's a perfect parking job if I ever saw one. So let's swap over to the other vehicle. Grab, let's let Midfield do this one. Conk his head on the station. Oh, and he's going to have to go around to the other side to get in. There's the crew hatch. Alright, so we have Midfield aboard. Drifting a little bit too close there. Get us drifting on a nice outward trajectory from the station and pop off the drone core. So that's already disappeared from my point of view. Yep, okay, he's gone. So let's get these docked up and then we'll move all of the crew over and deorbit the station. Really wish I could see right now. I need to start installing lights on these stupid things. That is our target. Just desperately slamming keyboard buttons to maneuver my spacecraft around. There is a docking mode built into the game. I have never used it. I just use the translate controls because I prefer being able to roll, translate, yaw, whatever I need to do to bring the docking alignment into place. Not that the game tells you when you're aligned or not, it just kind of makes you guess. That does at least give you the target indicator. Oh, I was way closer than I thought I was. There we go. Had to fight with that station a little bit for some reason. I'm going to bring Orwise out. Where's the ladder? Ladder. Nope, be on this side. Apologies again for how dark this is. We aren't exactly in a hurry, so I could just warp around to the light side of the planet, but then I wouldn't be able to play around with the Kerbal headlamps, which are much more fun. Besides, doing EVAs in the dark is more dramatic, I think. Is there something in this? No. Anything in this? Want to make sure I'm bringing home as much science as I can. So that's what Nielsen here is going to be checking on. Make sure all of our science containers are completely empty. Okay, so there's nothing in that module. And last place to check is just in the science lab itself. Nope, nothing on board. Okay, so they must have transmitted all their information before I got here. I don't remember doing that, but that's alright. I don't actually think they've been down to the surface since the last time a supply ship came up, so that's probably where all the science went. Okay, so now we're just going to gingerly turn the station. We're going to make sure we are controlling from here. We are not. That could have been bad. So we're just going to gently rotate the station around here. Top off our fuel tanks while we're at it. Triple check, make sure I've got all my Kerbals. And that lander only holds the one anyway, so no worries there. No Kerbals anywhere else on the station. Get rotated around a bit closer to the bright side of the planet here. That way we can have a nice little show as the station goes down. There's my retrograde marker. Make sure I'm not shaking up the station too badly here. Everything's still attached? Everything's still attached. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Alright, we are going to burn retrograde, bring the station out of orbit. Okay, we have deorbited the station. Now we need to quickly disconnect. Reverse away from the station. Flip ourselves over. Destroy a solar panel. And put this ship right back into orbit. Orbit, orbit, perfect. And then before anything happens, switch back to the station, and now we get to just watch it crash. Alright, so let's bring those Kerbals home, and we'll call the moon mission a wrap. Nothing else orbiting the moon except for that probe I just left there. Perfect. Okay, so we're just going to add our easy maneuver here. Not particularly worried about where we come back down on Kerbin, so just going to go for a direct approach. Set an alarm for that maneuver node, and time warp right up to it. So I'm not sure how long this burn's going to take. We're just going to start it at T-minus 20 seconds. So that seems pretty reasonable for 250 meters per second, I think, with the Poodle. We shall see. Kerbin looking spectacular in the distance. I'm probably going to install the Better Atmospheres mod as well. I don't know that I can go back to a Kerbin with no clouds. The planet just looks so much better from space with clouds. I don't even need the clouds when I'm actually landing, I just want it to look like it has clouds from space. Alright, so 2 mods then. I'm going to be the Better Atmospheres mod and Kerbal Alarm Clock, and that'll be it. Everything else completely vanilla. No new parts, no nothing. See how far we can get in the game then. Maybe finally land on Moho or Dress. Oh, right, Nabal. So I'm going to enjoy this mod while I've got it. Oh right, I need to get out of the Moon's sphere of influence there. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. Alright, so we're not within the atmosphere just yet, so let's see where we're going to land. What am I doing? Just zoom in on Kerbin. Oh, we might actually be able to get a landing pretty close to Kerbin there. Yep, that looks good. Yeah, that'll do just fine. It'll be at night, but again, not too terribly worried about that. Close down the alarm, hide the alarms. We don't need that maneuver node anymore. That was just an alarm maneuver node. Always try and land heads down and backwards. Just maximum comfort for the Kerbals. Don't want them breaking any bones or anything. Fast forward up till we hit the atmosphere. Alright, and yeah, definitely going to be a nighttime re-entry here. Is that the Kerbal Mountains? No. Alright, let's ditch our service module. This one have RCS thrusters on the bottom. Yes, it does. Okay, so we still have a little bit of control if we need it. Which I think I am actually going to use to try and make sure we're splashing down instead of hitting land. Alright, so the chutes have fully deployed, so we're just going to warp down to the surface here. This is the only part of the descent where I really feel safe time warping. As long as you stop before you hit the water, you should be okay in this part. I'm curious to see if any of the RCS thrusters are going to pop off when I hit the water. No, it looks like they're all still attached. Pretty neat. Just do a quick crew report from the water. Woo. And recover. Okay, so we got our moon Kerbals back down. So we still have Kerbals in one space station directly over Kerbin. Yay, reputation.